Ladies and gentlemen, today we have ourselves a little bit of a PSA video mixed in with a bit of a deep dive as well. Just a few hours ago, Destiny 2 received Hotfix 3.3.0.2, and in that hotfix was this beautiful line of text right here that reads, "Increase the effect of both the impact and detonation of explosive light on rocket launchers to now increase that damage by 25%. Obviously, with Ascendancy and Hothead being the only rockets in the game right now to even have explosive light, they themselves just got a buff. But was it enough to warrant using or to warrant grinding for either of these weapons if you're a newer player? That's what I'm here to find out with you all today. Before we jump into it though, if you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more from me, a like and subscribe would definitely be appreciated. Without further ado though, let's jump into this. Now, taking a look at the hotfix note again, you'll notice that Bungie points out that both the detonation and impact of your rockets will receive a buff and damage when explosive light is active. This is because previously at the beginning of the season, explosive light increased the damage of your explosion only, resulting in a pretty lackluster experience with an overall damage increase of just Vorpal weapon, but with extra steps needed to get that 15% damage increase. With this hotfix though, we can now observe that your impact damage will indeed change with a non-explosive light shot to an explosive light shot. When taking a look at the damage numbers, we see that without explosive light, we're hitting for 17,467, and with explosive light, we're hitting for 21,701, which comes out to being a 24.24% increase to your damage, which is close enough to being 25. You can also do the math on the explosive damage in those clips as well, and it'll equal out to a flat 25% damage increase on its own. So now that we've confirmed that Bungie's hotfix has indeed fixed / buffed explosive light as a perk, let's answer the question of, is explosive light good now? To answer this question, I want to pit explosive light up against two of its main competitors as far as perks go, Vorpal weapon and lasting impression. Vorpal weapon is a perk that grants roughly 15% extra damage when dealing damage to a champion or boss type enemy. The trade-off with this damage perk is that it can only deal extra damage to those types of targets. Lasting impression is a perk that grants roughly 20% extra damage, but this comes at the cost of needing to wait on your rockets to explode. This isn't much of a downside, all things considered, unless you're fighting specific champions like Unstop and Anti-Barrier that go out of their optimal DPS phase before your rocket can explode. Lastly, of course, we have Explosive Light, a perk that now grants 25% extra damage, but this comes at the cost of picking up an Orb of Power before being granted said damage. However, this damage perk can be held up to 6 stacks at a time, making it a bit more forgiving in that regard, but you will lose all of your stacks upon dying and being revived, so be careful with that. As far as Vorpal weapon is concerned, compared to explosive light, I feel as though an explosive light rocket is 100% the play in this matchup. Yeah, there's a bit of preparation involved to get your damage buff, but that damage buff is of course an extra 10%, and it's not that hard to get orbs when you're already going to be either playing with your team or making orbs with a masterworked primary. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting. Let's talk about lasting impression versus explosive light. When doing the math, you'll find that explosive light only gives around a 4.86% damage increase over lasting impression, so roughly 5%. When we're no longer in the double digits on damage increase, is that extra 5% worth the preparation needed? Honestly, it all comes down to personal preference. Ascendancy and Hothead at the end of the day are now fantastic rocket launchers because of this damage buff. Ascendancy has impact casing for extra damage, impulse amplifier for reload speed, explosive light for the 25% damage, and a handling masterwork to let you quick swap to it faster for burst DPS. And Hothead can roll impact casing for extra damage, field prep for extra reserves and reload, as well as explosive light with any masterwork to boot. However, for players like myself personally, I just may keep on running my royal entry at the end of the day for consistency's sake. It's only a 5% damage bonus, and if I can ensure that 100% of the time my rockets won't hit like a wet noodle because I don't have any charges or I lose all my charges whenever I die, then, you know, I'm okay with that. Lasting Impression is personally going to be the pick for me going forward, but Explosive Light will still net you more DPS, just at the cost of light preparation. At the end of the day, you just need to ask yourself, is that damage number increase, which is just under 5%, worth the extra preparation? If you're a player that doesn't mind going through the extra effort in order to squeeze out a tiny bit more damage to make big number go burr, then go for it. Also, if you're a newer player and don't have top tier picks like Royal Entry or Hezen yet, then Ascendancy is a damn fine rocket launcher now. But for players like myself though, that tiny bit of damage just isn't something that I'm interested in benefiting from, as it'll never be as consistent as a rocket launcher with Lasting Impression on it. But guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I wanted to put this video out just because the recent hotfix ended up going live so that I could update you guys on Explosive Light actually being a worthwhile perk. Earlier on in the season, I never even made a video on the Ascendancy because it was that bad. I didn't really see it worth covering. But now the Ascendancy and the Hothead now are definitely pretty good rocket launchers overall. For me though, and as far as Explosive Light is concerned, I don't feel as though the damage bonus is quite enough for me to be completely happy. Again, like I said, you know, some people may not mind going through that preparation, but I can already see it now if I'm running Grandmasters, for example. I absolutely love to run rocket launchers, and let's say I'm about to deal damage to a boss or some champions with my fire team, I end up going down, my teammates end up reviving me, and just like that, I don't have any extra charges. Therefore, if I do shoot my rocket, it's kind of a waste because I am dealing so much less damage that I either need to wait around for someone to pop a super to create an orb and then I can shoot my rocket. It's just Explosive Light for me personally, as an in-game player and as someone that plays Grandmasters and stuff like that a lot, I don't really ever see myself using the Ascendancy or the Hothead. I have a really good Royal Entry. Granted, getting the Royal Entry God roll is very hard to come by, so Hothead and Ascendancy are really good rockets on their own, especially if you can't get Royal Entry, especially if you can't get Hezen, and the buff overall was pretty good, although me personally, I would much rather an extra 5% damage bonus to kind of make me a little happy on the inside. But guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys found today's video useful. I hope you enjoyed and were entertained. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.